First contact, first strike. The sky above Manhattan darkened at precisely 2:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, not with clouds but with something far more ominous, a massive object that seemed to swallow the sun itself. Similar reports flooded in from Beijing, Moscow, London, and Cairo. Within minutes, every major population center on Earth found itself beneath the shadow of enormous vessels that defied all known laws of physics. Commander Elena Reyes was in the middle of a routine Pentagon briefing when the first reports came in. A decorated veteran with combat experience in 3 global conflicts, she had seen enough to know when something was fundamentally wrong. The room fell silent as satellite imagery confirmed what ground observers reported. Earth was surrounded by vessels of clearly extraterrestrial origin. "Get me the president," she ordered, her voice steady despite the churning in her stomach. "And someone find Dr. Chen. If anyone can make sense of this, it's him." Dr. Marcus Chen was already on his way, having abandoned his laboratory at MIT the moment his instruments detected the anomalous gravitational disturbances. His life's work had been theorizing about potential extraterrestrial contact, and now theory was becoming reality before his eyes. "They're positioning themselves over population centers," Dr. Chen observed when he arrived at the Pentagon's Situation Room. "Classic intimidation tactic. They want us to know they could strike at any moment." For 12 tense hours, the world waited. Military forces mobilized, civilians huddled in their homes, and governments attempted to establish contact with the alien presence. Every frequency, every imaginable form of communication was attempted. Radio waves, light signals, mathematical sequences. The response, when it finally came, was broadcast simultaneously across all electronic devices worldwide. The message was simple, delivered in perfect English and every other major human language. "Your species has been assessed and found wanting. The resources of this world will be better utilized under Voxar administration. Resistance is not advised." Then the first strike came without warning. Sydney, Australia disappeared in a blinding flash of light. Not just damaged or destroyed, completely vaporized. 8 million lives extinguished in an instant. The attack was methodical, precise, and utterly devastating. "They're testing us," Commander Rice said, her hands gripping the situation table so hard her knuckles turned white. "Seeing how we respond to overwhelming force." The world's militaries scrambled their jets, launched missiles, and activated every defensive system at their disposal. Conventional weapons detonated harmlessly against invisible shields surrounding the alien vessels. Nuclear strikes were somehow intercepted mid-flight, detonating harmlessly in the upper atmosphere. The aliens, the Voxar Collective, seemed invincible. But Dr. Chen noticed something peculiar as he analyzed footage of the attacks. "They're only using energy weapons," he muttered almost to himself. "And they're keeping their distance. They haven't sent any ground forces." "What are you thinking?" Rice asked, recognizing the look of realization on the scientist's face. "I'm thinking they're afraid of something," Chen replied, his eyes not leaving the screens. "For all their technological superiority, they're being cautious. Maybe even afraid." Over the next 72 hours, more cities were targeted: Rio de Janeiro, Mumbai, Cairo. Each attack precise, each demonstrating the overwhelming technological advantage of the Voxar. Yet they'd maintained their distance, hovering high in the atmosphere, never descending below the cloud layer. In the chaos of the Pentagon's command center, Dr. Chen made a connection that would change everything. "Commander, I need access to every bit of data we have on the atmospheric composition around the attack sites." "What are you looking for?" Rice asked, even as she authorized the request. "I don't know yet, but I think our atmosphere might be uncomfortable for them. They're staying high where the air is thinner. They're using energy weapons that don't require physical contact." The remaining world governments coordinated a desperate counterattack, not with missiles or jets, those had proven useless, but with something entirely unexpected: Commercial airliners loaded with aerosolized compounds from Earth's atmosphere were flown directly into the path of the Voxar vessels. What happened next astonished even the most optimistic military strategists. The alien ships recoiled, their energy shields fluctuating wildly when exposed to the concentrated cocktail of Earth's atmospheric elements. "It's working," Chen exclaimed, watching the feeds. "Something in our atmosphere is toxic to them. Maybe the oxygen concentration, maybe the nitrogen, maybe even the water vapor." Commander Reyes seized on this information immediately. "We need to weaponize this discovery. Every remaining aircraft, every weather modification system, everything we have. Aim it at those ships." What the Voxar had expected to be a routine planetary acquisition was quickly becoming something else entirely. Their advanced technology, designed for space combat and planetary bombardment, had a critical vulnerability. Earth itself was poisonous to them. The Voxar attempted to adapt, adjusting their tactics to counter this unexpected resistance. They targeted Earth's weather stations and aircraft hangars, trying to eliminate humanity's newfound weapon. But they had made a critical error in their initial assessment. Humans were not a primitive, easily dominated species. They were survivors, innovators, and when backed into a corner, ferociously determined. Within days, makeshift atmospheric delivery systems were being deployed worldwide. Crop dusters flew suicide missions into the lower boundaries of Voxar ships. Weather rockets carried concentrated payloads of Earth's rich atmosphere into the paths of alien vessels. Even civilian weather balloons were repurposed, carrying simple but effective packages designed to release Earth's natural cocktail directly at the invaders. For the first time since the invasion began, the Voxar were retreating. Not just tactically repositioning, genuinely falling back, their ships desperately trying to escape the clouds of terrestrial atmosphere being launched at them. "This isn't over," Reyes cautioned as the first wave of alien ships broke orbit and fled. "They'll be back with countermeasures, but we've bought ourselves time." Dr. Chen nodded, already formulating the next steps. "We need to understand exactly what they're vulnerable to, and we need to prepare for their return." As the first Voxar ships disappeared from Earth's sensors, humanity began to rally. The initial shock of contact was wearing off, replaced by determination. Communication networks were restored, governments reconnected, and a unified defense strategy began to take shape. Commander Reyes addressed the emergency United Nations Security Council meeting, her voice firm with newfound resolve. They came expecting an easy conquest. What they found instead was humanity, adaptable, resourceful, and unwilling to go quietly. "The next time they come, we'll be ready." The galaxy had declared war on humanity, but Earth wasn't just another helpless target to be conquered and stripped of resources. It was becoming clear that the Voxar had made a grave miscalculation. They had judged humanity by their technological limitations rather than their greatest strength, the ability to adapt, innovate, and overcome seemingly impossible odds. And for the Voxar collective, that would prove to be a fatal mistake. The unexpected defenders. 2 weeks after the initial retreat, the Voxar returned. Their ships, now visibly modified with external apparatus that Dr. Chen theorized were atmospheric filters, took up positions in Earth's orbit rather than descending into the atmosphere. This time, they deployed smaller craft, unmanned drones that rained destruction from above with surgical precision. "They're adapting," Commander Reyes observed from the newly established Global Defense Command Center, buried deep beneath the Colorado mountains. But so are we. In the 14 days since the first invasion wave, humanity had undergone a transformation unlike anything in its history. Ancient rivalries and geopolitical tensions were set aside as scientists, engineers, and military strategists from every nation collaborated on defense systems. The shared threat had accomplished what centuries of diplomacy could not: a truly united Earth. Dr. Chen led an international team that had identified the specific atmospheric components that affected the Voxar, a combination of oxygen levels, nitrogen compounds, and surprisingly, certain strains of airborne bacteria common to Earth, but apparently toxic to alien biology. They evolved in a different biosphere, Chen explained to the assembled military leaders. Their immune systems have no defense against organisms we've co-evolved with for millions of years. It's like War of the Worlds, but in reverse. The Voxar's second attack was more measured, more calculated. Their drones targeted Earth's newly established defensive infrastructure, particularly the atmospheric delivery systems that had proven so effective during the first encounter. But humanity had anticipated this and prepared accordingly. One by one, countries deployed their unique solutions to the Voxar threat. Indian engineers had developed swarms of microdrones that could deliver concentrated atmospheric payloads directly to the alien craft. Brazilian scientists had modified their weather control systems to create localized atmospheric conditions lethal to Voxar technology. Chinese technicians had repurposed industrial smog generators into defensive perimeters around major cities. Commander Reyes coordinated these disparate efforts into a cohesive global strategy. The Voxar expected uniformity, she told her international counterparts. They expected a single species with a unified response. Our strength is in our diversity, in the thousands of different approaches we can throw at them simultaneously. The alien drones were formidable, destroying significant portions of infrastructure and causing many casualties. But they couldn't be everywhere at once, and each destroyed drone yielded valuable information about Voxar technology. 5 days into the second invasion, Dr. Chen made another breakthrough. We've analyzed the debris from downed drones, he announced during an emergency briefing. Their technology relies on quantum entanglement for communication. If we can disrupt that specific frequency, we can isolate their forces from one another. This insight led to the deployment of modified radio telescopes and particle accelerators worldwide, all recalibrated to generate massive interference across the quantum frequencies the Voxar used. Almost immediately, the coordinated drone attacks became erratic, scattered, and increasingly ineffective. The Voxar command ships, still maintaining a safe distance in orbit, found themselves in an unexpected predicament. Their drone forces were being systematically neutralized, their communications disrupted, and every tactical adjustment they made was met with rapid human adaptation. What had begun as a routine resource acquisition was becoming an increasingly costly engagement. 3 Voxar command ships had already been lost, not to human weapons, but to seemingly innocuous atmospheric contamination that spread through their vessels like wildfire once their filtration systems were compromised. Then came humanity's boldest move. Under Commander Reyes' direction, the coalition of international space agencies launched a hastily assembled fleet of spacecraft, essentially modified satellites loaded with Earth's atmosphere and bacteria. These crude but effective vessels were aimed directly at the Voxar fleet in orbit. We're taking the fight to them, Reyes announced as the launches commenced. They wanted Earth. Let's give them a taste of it. The Voxar, already struggling with unexpected resistance, found themselves under direct attack for the first time. Their orbital positions became compromised as the human satellites detonated, releasing clouds of Earth's atmosphere directly around the alien vessels. Their shields, designed to repel energy weapons and kinetic impacts, offered no protection against microscopic bacteria and atmospheric compounds that seeped through every seam and joint. Dr. Chen watched the unfolding space battle from a monitoring station, his expression both awed and troubled. "We're witnessing the first interspecies war in human history," he remarked to a colleague. "And we're winning not because of technological superiority, but because we're turning our entire planet into a weapon." As more Voxar ships succumbed to Earth's atmospheric assault, the alien fleet began a full retreat. Not a tactical withdrawal this time, but a genuine rout. Their remaining vessels accelerated away from Earth's orbit, abandoning drones and damaged ships in their wake. In command centers across the globe, cheers erupted as tracking systems confirmed the Voxar departure. But Commander Reyes and Dr. Chen exchanged knowing glances. This wasn't the end. It was merely the beginning of humanity's emergence onto a much larger, more dangerous galactic stage. 3 months later, a single Voxar vessel appeared at the edge of the solar system. Unlike the warships of the invasion fleet, this was a diplomatic craft. It broadcast a simple message on all frequencies. The sovereign collective of Voxar extends formal recognition to the Terran Defense Force as a spacefaring military power. Territorial boundaries will be respected. Knowledge exchange is proposed. In the newly established United Earth Council chamber, Commander Reyes read the message aloud, then turned to the assembled representatives. They came to conquer and found equals instead. Now they're offering us a seat at the table. Dr. Chen, now serving as Earth's first Xenobiological Relations Officer, nodded thoughtfully. They underestimated us because our technology didn't match theirs. They never considered that our greatest weapons weren't built in factories. They were forged through billions of years of evolution on this planet. The Voxar had declared war, expecting an easy victory over a primitive species. Instead, they had inadvertently introduced humanity to the galactic community, not as conquered subjects, but as a force to be reckoned with. Earth wasn't just another target. It was home to humanity. Resourceful, adaptable, and now, with the stars finally within reach. As preparations began for the first formal contact with the Voxar diplomats, Commander Rice found herself looking skyward with new perspective. They thought they were declaring war on us, she mused. Instead, they gave us the universe. The galaxy had gained something it never expected, a new power emerging from a blue planet in an unremarkable solar system. Humanity wasn't on the defensive anymore. They were taking their first steps into a much larger universe, carrying with them the lessons of Earth. Adapt, innovate, and never underestimate the determination of a species fighting for its home.